Minutes past 1. Time for us to move over to California, where Sahndra is already on the line. Sahndra, you're welcome to African Cocktail.
Thank you.
So, Sahndra, how has it been since you came back from Ireland?
Oh, wow. It's been very crazy because, I have 1 week left, and I've been working very hard to make sure that the event on Saturday is successful. So it's been quite crazy, but it's a good kind of crazy,
Right, I understand that so well. So you recently visited Ireland to premiere one night in Vegas. And on the sidelines of the main event, we hear Cameroonians out there gave you a heroic reception. Could you just tell us how this visit went, Sahndra?
Honestly speaking, I was honored to even be invited in the first place. And when people kind of like sit down and respect what you're doing, it means a lot, especially as an artist. And I was received by one of the promoters. His name was Diamond Ebbs, and he treated me very well. Also, what really touched me the most was that a group of women called it Bamba Mike. These are mothers. They have things to do, and they actually came out to the movie, they came to the screening, they came to the after party, and then they made a champagne reception for me at their house and cooked like ndole and rice and all these great things, and I was so humbled. They made a beautiful speech for me. They were very impressed. They loved what I was doing, and they wanted to support me. So, I feel like that right there is just, that tells you have to keep doing what you're doing,
Right.
Fantastic. Tell me, how does it feel to be given such honor by the Cameroonians in Highland?
It's very humbling for me because, everything that I do is for them, and for them to kind of sit down and actually do this for me. It was very humbling. I was very humble, and I just knew that I have to continue what I'm doing because some people are looking up to me. I can't just relax. I have to go ahead,
Yes.
But is there anything, Sahndra, you would always love to remember about this maiden visit to Ireland?
Absolutely. The place is so beautiful. It's so peaceful. And I remember just looking out from my hotel window and just admiring how wonderful it was. And also, I had an interview with one of the Irish stations. I'll never forget that. So I'm doing my interview, and a bunch of 20 little Irish boys just come and start looking. And, they're asking, who's she? And they're like, oh my God, she looks like she's eating. They're trying to hit on me. And they're, it was just a whole crazy mess, but it was so hilarious. And I was just happy because, it's kind of good to be in Ireland and experience, something different, But it was funny, and we laughed. They came to my interview, and they were dancing in the background. It was just funny. But that one, I'll never forget that, yeah.
Wow. I can see that you have a movie already, right? One night in Vegas. Tell me, how did the people in Highland react to this movie?
Oh my God, they loved it. They really loved it. It's one thing to have fans from Cameroon, but it's one thing to have fans from South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Ireland. I was very touched because even when I saw the story that was put out after, my role was specifically spoken about, and that's something that people, I always try to tell my friends and just my fans in general that, whenever you do something, doesn't matter how small it is, you want to make that impact. Because I don't appear in this film that long. I'm there for a very short time. Definitely. But I specifically remember telling myself I wanted my role to stand out so much, and everyone was coming to me. I didn't even take pictures of the cast. I was pulled left and right. I didn't even take, before I could get to the red carpet, it was over. My fans were just so excited, and that was really, for me, it was just humbling again. I was just like, wow, okay, what just happened, But they really loved it. They loved it. They did.
Okay, Sahndra, from the movies to the books, so you just completed your first book, which is at the verge of being launched. It's been in the news for the past couple of weeks. First, what is Yefon, the Red Necklace, all about?
Well, it tells the story of Yefon Labam, who is a girl who knows that she's different. And in the 1950s, she's from a Central African village where women are uneducated and expected to either work on a farm or be one of many wives. But Yefon, she dares for more. She wants to learn how to read, and even if it means that looking at a book could mean her death, And everyone thinks that she's an abomination, even her mother, her sisters, her neighbors. But her father knows that she's destined for great things. And when he's murdered, Yefon clings on to the one last gift that he gave her, and that was a red necklace. Only that she comes to realize that this necklace is not just an ordinary necklace, but it's a talisman that was crafted by the gods. And so she walks this dangerous path that could lead to her freedom or her death. So Yefon the Red Necklace is actually the first book of a trilogy. So that's how that first one ends, you know, and then we'll see it in the next book.
And so what inspired Sahndra to write this book, and how long did it take you to put this package together?
Many things. Okay, first of all, anybody who knows me would know that every time I do something, I want it to be perfect. It's taken me 3 years for me to get this whole trilogy together, and of course it began like a movie, and obviously when that was wasting time, because the amount of money I was looking for was just wasting my time. But I was like, okay, I can't just sit here and just wait for my future to be dabbled by people, you know, come back here. So I decided I was going to do something. Let me write. I remember when I was in boarding school, my books, whenever I finished writing, it got stolen, and I'll find it in another boarding school, you know. I just remembered, I was like, wow, let me try this again and see what happens. But, you know, when I was actually doing research for the book, I came across lots of stories, and I want to say that this novel is specifically dedicated to women that are suppressed all over the world, and to those women whose rights have been infringed, and women whose dreams have been crushed because they were women, you know, in Africa and Asia, Europe, Americas, everywhere. And I felt that pain. And I wanted to say, you know what, I begged permission. I asked God, I was like, God, just give me permission to be their voice. I want to do something for this women. I want to, you know, write something that would inspire women. When the book is read, there's 3 kinds of people I wrote this book for. One of them is the women who are the Nelson Mandelas of the society. You know, I want women to be able to see a problem and fix it. Don't just talk about it, but do something about it. And that's why I wanted to inspire them through this story, because I wanted them to continue to be encouraged to do what they're doing, you know, and to remember that it's not just starting, but really follow through. Like my journey, this 3 years for me has been something else, but I grew and I learned, and I became somebody else, and that's what I wanted to show through this book. And the second thing was, for those people who are being suppressed in any kind of abusive relationship or in any kind of abusive circumstance, I want them to know that they're not bound to it, because change begins from one person, and change begins with one thought. You just have to say, I want to do this. It will take you time. It's going to be difficult. Things will be thrown in your face, but you can do it.
Right.
That's why I wrote this book. I was inspired to be a voice for women, and for not just women, you know, but people. Because you know what? When you think about it, we're not that different. Women and men, we're all creatures of God. And so it's not an issue of, you know, women or men, but anybody who is in any kind of situation to know that you can be a change. It doesn't matter what happens.
Right. She was inspired to be a voice for women. Now, Sahndra, who is supposed to read Yefon the Red Necklace, and what do you think the readers will get or pick out after reading this book?
First of all, it's a story for every woman. I feel like every woman should read this book. And not only every woman, but like I said, every man, everyone should read the book. It's such a, I mean, it has so much heart energy, because when I do things, I'm all about energy. Like I put my life, my soul, my breath, everything that is with me just entered the book. And what I've gotten back so far from the reviewers, like everybody was they loved the book. I just got signed. I signed with 2 major groups, and because they loved the book, I mean, it was like, you know, it's definitely that new young African vibe voice, because right now, like, I feel like I'm one of the youngest African authors that there are, and that I kind of bring that to the story. Like, even though it's a very serious, very dark story, but I try to bring some light into it with my age. I was trying to make it funny in some places, so my readers would tell me, you know what, I was laughing, next minute I'm crying, next minute I'm laughing. I'm like, wait, what just happened? And they kept calling me. Everybody's definitely like, where is book 2? We have to read it. And what touched me the most was is the vast viewership, you know. I have a reader who is in her 70s, you know, and she read the book, she loved it. And my cousin, 15 years old, she just read the book, and she just texted me, she was like, where is book 2, you know? But it's great that people from different ages can kind of read it and relate to it. I feel like this is a book for anyone to read. If you love books, and even if you don't love books, just start and see what happens.
Sahndra, this whole thing, like you mentioned earlier on, started like a movie project, but today it has metamorphosized into a book. we would like to know the difference and the similarities between these two, Yefon the movie and Yefon the novel.
The movie is very different from the novel. The reason why is because when I started that movie, I was 20 years old. I was a child. I mean, I wrote the best that I could at that time, but it's nothing compared to the book. The book is way more advanced, and I'm actually going to rewrite the screenplay around the book because the book is a trilogy. It's 3 books. So it's going to be 3 movies. It's no longer 1 movie like what it was in the past. I did way more research this time. I believe that I have to write a new screenplay. There's no way I can use the old screenplay for this one because it's not going to work because it ends in different places. It has some new characters and so on. So the movie is still going to happen. Like I've been telling everybody, it's not an issue. I'm such a perfectionist, and I want to do things big. We live in a world where Lupita from Kenya is winning an Oscar and so on. So I can't. I'm aiming like really high. So that's why I'm trying to really do it right. You know. So the movie is going to come out. The movies will come out because it's going to be 3 movies this time. But it's a matter of time. I'm going to take my time with it. This is my baby. I think it deserves my time. So, yeah.
From the way you speak, Sahndra, one would go with the impression that it has been financially cumbersome to complete this book project. Is that the case?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. I mean, the movie was financially cumbersome. It was very different. I mean, I shot a promo. I spent a lot of money because I went after the best. The amount of PR I did was so expensive. I traveled to Cameroon. I was all over the place, in different places, trying to get this fund. So, yeah, it was very cumbersome. But then the book is a whole other ballpark. I mean, the amount of money I spent to get this off the ground is just crazy. But I'm gonna get it back. I'm not worried about that because I'm not doing like this time around. Like I've grown so much, and I understand the rules of success. You know, it's not. You just do your thing, you do the best that you can, and you put the best product out there, and let the universe take care of it. You know, I'm not worried about that because first of all, the reason why I'm doing it, that voice, just feeling satisfied that I've kind of done something about it, and not only that, but I just opened a new foundation with a good friend of mine, and that's one of the things that we're going to be doing. I want to actively not just write the book, but make money that I can actually use to do things. I'm actually going to travel and actually impact those women's lives. You know. Children's lives and so on. So I'll tell you more about that later on because it's still in the beginning stages. But I feel like artists, we can tap into the mind of God, and that's what makes this so special. And because of that, I want to do things to actually impact the people I'm writing about. I don't want to just write the book and make the money, but I want to make that money and go to them and say, hey, you inspired me, now I'm going to inspire you. So that's kind of the plan. So, you'll hear more about it soon. So right now the main focus is the book.
Right.
You'll hear more about it soon.
I would say
Gifted Minds of Africa.
I would say, without fear of any contradiction, that publishers don't just go to writers for the sake of it. They go to those who are refined and who are out there to do a great job. Definitely that would have been the case with you. But could you just tell us how your publishers got to you and what attracted them in you and the book you're writing?
So actually, I self-published the book because, again, like I said, if you looked at the journey where I was coming from, wow. I didn't want anybody or anything to hold me back. I just saved the money I needed. I was lucky enough to be in this commercial that paid me very well. So I just put that money aside and I said, this is going to go to my book. So because of that, I plan to have a PR so that those days they can see me and then come to me, like you said. So what I did was I put the book out there. I sent it out to a couple of people. But I was going more after the book PR event planners because that's who kind of takes you to that next level. So I sent it out. And I was very lucky because after 4 months, I heard from this woman, her name is Mocha, and she's from a group called the Oracle Group, and she said, you know what, wow, no, you know what, I think you're the next Chimamanda, let's do something. And this is a woman who works with the likes of Tony Braxton, Al Sharpton, all these people, and she really believed in what I was doing, and she came on my team. Just a week ago, I just also signed with LT Creative, which is also a huge PR firm here. They represent, name it, Nicki Minaj, everyone, just think about it. So I just signed with them. So that's where we're going with it. So what the goal is to get the second and third book bought by a huge publisher, like the publishers of 12 Years a Slave. And then, so everything can fall in place. But I'm very grateful. Everything has been so awesome. Just the amount of love that I've been getting from the readers. It's just it's so humbling. I have to go back there because humbling is that's my feeling. I mean, when something happens, I don't know what to do. I just feel so humble because it's not easy. I mean, 3 years is not. It's a very long time, and it's just the patience and rewriting. And you send it out, and somebody criticizes, and you have to go and rewrite it because you don't argue. You have to change whatever they're talking about. So it's been a very humbling process to me, and I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful for the readers who took their time to actually read it and tell me, Sahndra, you know what, let's change this part, let's change this part. And so just to answer your question specifically, I self-published through Amazon Create Space, and for anybody who's kind of interested in that kind of rock, and also Facebook, maybe I can tell you how to do it. But I got their attention after already doing it, which was my plan. I wanted to do it first, and then send it out, and then I got their attention after I already did it.
Okay, she self-published that book. Special guest in this edition of African Cocktail, Sahndra FON DUFE. She's an actor, and of course, she's an author. Sahndra, let me come back to you. Briefly, let's look at this. How voluminous is this book? How many pages does it have?
Book 1 has 290 pages.
This is serious. Now, who did the foreword and why?
In terms of forward, I didn't have anyone like that. What I did was I have a lot of character portraits, which I did at the end. Each of the characters, like if you watch on the videos, you can see I actually had a special illustrator actually draw them out for me. And I worked with this amazing girl. I mean, you will be surprised. She's actually from Cameroon. I met her in Tanzania a couple of years ago. Her name is Yefon, and she lives in the UK. And I mean, when I came up with this, I saw her on Facebook. I was like, oh my God, she draws. Because I was about to hire someone else, and I just hired her immediately. So I was very grateful because she's young, and she really brought it. Like, the characters are so amazing. Obviously, we worked together and stuff, but still, she really brought it home. So I worked with an illustrator. I worked with a bunch of editors, formats, and all that stuff. And I was very lucky enough to be introduced to a great group, which is called Fostering Success, to a good friend of mine she's a what is it called, like a bestseller author. So I was introduced to that group, and through them I got contacts and stuff. But I don't have a foreword like that because since this is my first book, I have a long, very, very long dedication. And the first one I say is, please, this is my first book. Forgive me already because I know it's long. I have a long dedication. I have a long acknowledgement because I wanted to write all the women's names that actually inspired me. Right. I actually studied a bunch of women. And I wrote every single one of them their name because I feel like they deserve it. They inspired me. So.
Yes, Sahndra, I've only seen the book on picture. I haven't had the opportunity to touch it yet. Definitely I will. But are you satisfied with the print quality of the book?
Oh yeah. If I was not again, like I say, you have to know me well to know this. But if I was not satisfied, you would not hear about it. That's what it's fact. You will not even be. I'm so proud of what I've done. It's one of those things that I've actually right now, like I said, I'm ready for the success because I've put in the work. I've really put in the work, and I'm so I have a friend of mine who's from Burundi, right? And I think I spent was it Christmas or New Year? New Year, sorry, at her house. And her mom was like, your friend never gets on the computer. Christmas Day, New Year's Day, everyone is eating, I'm on the computer. I wake up at 5, go back to sleep, wake up at 6:30. All my friends have been there in my struggle. I mean, I've worked so hard for this book. Right now, I can just leave it and just leave it alone because I've done that work. It's just I'm ready for the world to see. I mean, Oprah can read this book right now, and I'm not afraid. If it's no mistake, I've done my part. Let the world see it. So that's kind of how I feel right now.
Okay, but definitely Sahndra is going to see the logical end of this whole thing. And so, Sahndra, the book makes its first public appearance this Saturday out there in Los Angeles. Tell us about this event. Who's going to be the chief launcher, and what is the agenda, or how would the agenda look like?
Wow, it looks exciting. I'm so touched. I mean, the first launch, I wanted it to be more of a Hollywood event because I'm an actress primarily. So everybody that I know out here is most likely a producer, an actor, or, a film person, right? So I put together this book launch. It's going to be at the Celebrity Center in Hollywood. It's a beautiful place. It's so beautiful. And I hired a PR company to work on to invite celebrities and so on to walk the red carpet. The response has been amazing. RSVPs from, I've gotten like RSVPs from a bunch of celebrities. I mean, people just want to come. Like, I feel like they love the story. They just want to come and see what I'm doing and just support it. So it's all my friends and my fans. I mean, honestly speaking, it's going to be exciting on Saturday. And I have, what I try to do was, I didn't want it to be so serious. I wanted it to, I wanted to bring my personality to it. My personality is very fun, very alive, whatever. So I hired like a bunch of performers. We're going to have rap music. We're going to have a spoken word performer. We're going to have dance. We're going to have like an African style singing. It's going to be an exciting event. And what is touching me the most is one of the hosts for the show. His name is Dr. Larry Coco Welton. Right. And I mean, this guy is the same status as Malcolm X. So he trained, like he was in our team and everything. And for him to actually accept to come and open it for me, I'm like, oh wow, thank you. I can't even say anything. I'm just grateful. Right. At this point in time, like I said, man, that work, I put in too much work. I'm so grateful because everybody has been so supportive.
Okay, Sahndra,
honestly speaking. So,
right. Briefly, Sahndra, could you just remind us of the venue, the time, and of course, any possible contact if some interested persons want to reach you before then?
Yeah. The time on Saturday, the doors are going to open at 5 o'clock. The red carpet starts at 5. So doors open / red carpet. And then the event itself starts at 5:30. And it's going to go on until 9:30. Unfortunately, this kind of freaking time because the doors, the building, I rented it and it closes at 9:30. So if you're not there, I love you, but we have to move on. And if you're interested in contacting me, my name is Sahndra FON DUFE on Facebook and everywhere. That's my name everywhere. But it's Sahndra with an H. It's like SAHNDRA and then FON space DUFE. So that's my name. Just anyway, you just Google that. That's gonna show up. Facebook, whatever. My website, same thing, Sahndra.com. And in regards to the novel, the website of the novel is www.yefon.com. And Yefon is just YEFON. If you want to find out how to buy the book, it's everything is right there. You can find all the information. And then the book is officially out on the 11th, which is Mother's Day. So it's going to be available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a couple of places. But for this particular day on Saturday, we only have the paperback version, which is $15.95 without tax. Eventually, we're going to have the hard copy, which is going to be $25.95. Dollars, sorry, not pounds. I have to clarify that because some people be like, no, 25 pounds, what? Nobody got time for that. Anyway, but so $25.95 for the hard copy, $15.95 for the paperback, and $3.95 for the ebook. But the ebook has not yet been launched, and the hard copy has not yet been launched. So for right now, just paperback. And for those of you who are in the East Coast, I'm actually coming there next month. On the 23rd, I have an event at Station 1, which is for this book. So you can also come out there and support. And we're going to have a few other ones, but they're not yet confirmed.
Sahndra, that's all we had time for in this edition of African Cocktail. Thanks so much for stopping by and telling us about Yefon, the red necklace.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. You have been very supportive of my career. You always interview me on your show, and I'm grateful. Thank you so much. And to everybody who always comes out to listen, you guys are so awesome, man. Thank you. I'm so grateful.
Okay, thank you so much. The voice of actress and author Sahndra FON DUFE there, rounding off that very special conversation in this edition of African Cocktail with Claudio Oben as main guest. We shall be going back to Maryland to continue our conversation with him. It's true we have just a few minutes to run off this edition of the show, but then everything is alright, and we shall always come back to whatever thing you love to hear on this show. Let's